king on the beat.
Sizongoba, yeah. Nazi Sizongoba. I was born to win, you can call me Mangoba, Mangoba. Sizongoba, yeah. Nazi Sizongoba. I was born to win, you can call me Mangoba, Mangoba. Hey. Kulambozini vele ngivule window, vele balkonini ngaphandle kwe-wind blows. Lapho ngiyazi ukuthi siphile impilo. Give back to my people, wanna be a hero. Ngasabi ukushona empini mawazi unamasoja. You know that we gon' win as long as ngaphela umoya. Ivilili iyajika nyazi sizongoba. Azamba funa ukusiza waba sizongoba. Yeah, Yazi Sizongoba. I was born to win, you can call me Mangoba, Mangoba. Sizongoba.
Greetings, Sanbonani, Dumelange, Absheni, hello out there once again. It's your boy Akay, back again with another episode of the Kreative Kultural Corner on the People's Podcast Network, you know. So we are still on that path whereby, you know, we get to know more about our creatives, you know, around the Western and beyond, you know, in terms of what they are doing out there, you know, their work, as we get to dive in deep into what they are doing on the ground, you know. So today, you know, I'll actually be welcoming Mr. Zweja Maestro to the Kreative Kultural Corner, you know, and this is episode number 13, by the way, you know. We are still pushing. As you are aware that Bad Boy Mo just recently left the show, you know, so we just wish him all the best, you know, on his future endeavors, you know. So we are still looking for a new co-host in the meantime. So nizabani ngibona nami khona la, but you know, which this is not my show, you know. At the end of the day, you know, it's all for creatives, you know. But apart from that, let me jump into today's episode, man. My brother.
Yeah, sure. Come on.
Nandi Lapo.
I say please, Lapo.
Nandi. So, like Akay, we have a culture of actually giving our guests the platform to actually introduce themselves, you know, let our viewers know who they are, what they're doing out there, you know. So, with that being said, let me first start by saying thank you for taking the time to be on the show, you know. It really means a lot, you know, as we continue building this wonderful movement, you know, of ours, you know. So, apart from that, just a quick reminder for our new viewers and our returning viewers to click that subscribe button below, and don't also forget to follow us across all our social media platforms. It's at the People's Podcast Network. You can also go join our exclusive community of practical problem solvers, you know, a community whereby different people from different paths of life are coming together to try and address the social ills that we are faced with in today's society, you know. So apart from that, let me welcome Mr. Zweja to the show and give him the opportunity to introduce himself. But brother, the platform is yours.
Alright, no, ngibonga nje ithuba nami ukuthi ungi-invite ku-platform yakho and stuff like that, and greetings to your viewers also. So igama njengoba seshilo, my brother Zweja Maestro, well, is the alias, the stage name, if I should say, but igama lami uZoyili Mabona. I'm the radio presenter with the local station, Westside FM. I also do some managerial duties with the station. I'm also a DJ, and there's so many other things that I still want to get into. Maybe we could get into that as we go with the with the interview.
But welcome to the show, my brother. You know, it means a lot, you know, to actually have someone from the radio industry taking the time because, you know, there's that misconception of saying podcasters and radio hosts are bazwani because of podcasts are trying to take over radio, you know, those are kind of things, and that's not the reality of things on the ground. So we are actually also setting the record straight by you actually being here today. But apart from that, let me not waste any further time, you know. Let me kick off the show by actually asking the first question, you know. Who is Zweja Maestro. What's the inspiration behind this
Zweja Maestro? Well, this name, I usually hear people say that you can't develop or get your own stage name. So this name was given to me by a couple of guys from the station.
Yeah.
I remember that time we were still here in Hospital View. So that was about 4 years ago. Wakone, yeah. So one of them used to call me Zweja Master, right?
Yeah.
There was always that Zweja because of Zwedi. And then one of them started calling me Zweja Maestro. And then as I started navigating around trying to create my own identity as a creative, I ended up falling into the Maestro part. So I just put two and two together. I ended up being Zweja Maestro.
The musical maestro.
Thank you, basically. Yeah.
So like, how will you define like your work, like in terms of your music, like what does it focus on?
Do you mean the music that I put out on radio or
on radio? Because we are also a music compiler. So now I want us to actually talk about that part first, you know, in terms of being a music compiler as a DJ too, you know. So
the music that I put out on radio.
Yeah.
So we are guided by the license. Basically. Before anything, there's the CASA license that requires us to follow a certain quota and stuff like that. So basically, the music that I put out there, that we put out as a station, it's guided by that. You can even do it because it's not really about that. That one is not about my music and stuff. So in that regard, it's basically with the license and what stations are required to do with regards to the music that they play on their stations.
Sure.
But with regards to me as a DJ, I'm a soul and R&B DJ, so I grew up listening to soul and R&B, bit of hip hop, kwaito, house, but I'm a soul and R&B DJ. Most of whatever that I listen to is soul and R&B. But then I'm to be intact with what is happening now. So I listen to everything. Basically, I play whatever it is that I can play at that particular time.
But it's not everyone that can do it, you know.
Yeah, I know. It's not everyone. Even now, because with soul and R&B, it's more like you don't have to put in. There's no skill that is required much. Sure. But now I've seen there's DJs that have come up now who can mix the music, can mix soul, they can mix everything, which is something that was not there before. So now I'm to get into that because this is where you get your edge, because everyone can press play and then they get bookings because they know. But now you are required to also develop the skill. This is what I'm basically busy with right now. Because now I want to be different. I want to get bookings too because of the skill, not because I know anyone.
Because that's true, because the competition in this industry right now, it's on a whole other level, you know. So like, I want us to rewind back a little, you know, like, where does your love for DJing begin, you know? What makes you be like, this I can pursue, you know, this looks like something I can pursue? Okay, so I think
it was in 2002, with the little background that I had of being a lover of music from as a kid, because of music has always been there, like in everyone's life. Okay, so the moment I started listening to YFM, the likes of your Freshies, your Rude Boy Pauls, your Bad Boy Tees, even your Mac G's, everyone was there. Yeah. So that's when I knew that I wanted to do what they're doing. As to how and when, but I really got, like, it inspired me to want to do exactly what they were doing. And then I started the groove culture. I started being like, after matric, now I started hanging out with guys, we'd go out. Yeah. And then with the light, the flicker that was started from listening to the stations and combining it with the groove culture that I had started at the time, I just knew that I had to be a radio presenter and a DJ at the same time. So basically my story is not too it's basically around there. It's
basically around there.
Yeah.
And so far, what would you say has been like the biggest challenges you've encountered as a radio presenter and as a DJ, you know, on your journey, you know, because I know what you must have in living, you know, we tend to come across challenges in most cases, you know. So for when, what's that one moment where you're like, yabona la? You know, it had you thinking like, this is not for me, this is not for me.
I feel like that happens every month for me. Like, because I'm really like, like you guys and another mix. So initially there is you wanting to make sense as a brand.
Yeah.
The bookings also, obviously, because it's in as much as we love what you do, it's food and stuff.
Yeah.
So I feel like the local, I don't know if I should say, the industry, it's too monopolized, and I feel like that gets to me a lot, because I believe that I have a lot to offer, but then the bookings are not coming, and I'm still trying to navigate around developing the Zweja Maestro brand, wondering if am I in the right track? Does this really align with who I am? Is it making sense out there to people? Whatever I'm trying to put together. So those are the challenges that I've been facing the past 2 years, and continuously. So each and every weekend, each and every day. So those are the most challenges. I thought maybe by being part of a brand like Western FM, it would be easier for me. But then it's not the case. And another thing that I could say is a barrier between me being able to achieve whatever it is that I achieve. I'm not visible enough as a brand. There are also reasons why. So if you're not making money, it's not easy for you to be going out and being seen there and seen there. So now how it is with regards to soul and R&B movement, you get bookings by being seen. If people see you in their events, that's what booker, because they see you.
Sure.
If you don't have the edge that I was talking about, if you are not DJ Young, you have to go and attend these events, and that's how they can book you. But the networking thing. But if manje awubonakali and you don't have anything special, unique selling point, then you're not going to be getting gigs. So the only thing that has been getting to me recently, and for the last 2-3 years,
So, you know, like usual with this kind of questions, here on our show, you know, we always follow up with a question. It's kind of like a trivial question, you know, in terms of, let's say now you are given a position, maybe in the arts and culture sector, maybe you are a minister. How will you do things differently to ensure that such things do not happen for the next upcoming generation?
Yeah, the first thing that I would do, I feel like as much as we are, as artists, we want to be booked and we want to get more opportunities playing at events and stuff. But I don't feel like Sinola's will be enough about what we're doing. Right? So I'll try and make more workshops for artists for them to understand first what they're doing. Right? And then I'll try to create more events, because I can't really speak for establishments. Establishments, they have their own people, they know who they want.
Right of admission.
Yeah, right of admission reserved. So I'll try and create more events, events, and then I'll also try and create more centers, maybe youth centers that are focused on arts and culture, and then I'll also workshops for artists. Basically, that's what I would do. With regards to events and with regards to the establishments, there's not much I can say, because now they have their people that they book, and based on the resident DJs being the ones who are booking, and they will book whoever they know.
So in terms of I'm a private properties, like I'm a pubs like that are owned by individuals. Like for you, like how has your experience been like when they book you, you know? Because I know, which you know, around social media, we always see DJs crying with even patalang a 6-pack, you know, those kind of things.
Yeah, I think that has happened to me before. In some cases, it would be me agreeing to everything, because I wanted to get my name out there. I wanted to. They always say, Uti, the more you play, the more you get noticed by other establishments. So I used to do that a lot. In some cases, I'll play for free, not for even that 6-pack.
Sure.
But now the trick is, advice that I'll put out there to other artists and DJs, is that no, I think it's enough my name is out there. If I'm not getting bookings, I'm not getting them.
Sure.
I should now stop taking 6 packs. Leyo ke izophuma kuzo sibonela wena ukuthi you need to understand the value yakho, and there has to be that value. You can people will always say I know my value. Where is the value? The establishments are looking for value that they can see. You coming with 5, 4, 10 people. If they book you, you bring 20 people. That's the value. Not I'm saying that when I know I understand my value, I can play. Where's the value? Yeah. Make sure that you create the value, and then after that, now you can say, okay, it's enough. I'm not going to be playing for 6 months. But if you get opportunities of playing, play for free if you can until a certain time. It's up to you. So you create it. That's basically what I'm
That's true, and I think that's something most artists and DJs they are battling with. You like they are unknown in the scene. Maybe when they come. They already say, Mfuna maybe, for example, let me just say 3 stayna maybe for a booking or 2 stayna, you know. And then you're there, okay, 2 stayna, I'm gonna take this 2 stayna as an event organizer, After giving this person this money, how sure I am what you literally So it's actually important, as you are saying, sometimes to say, let me expose myself and build up my fan base so that I know when I drop a post, at least maybe 20 people they wanna follow me, you know. That way you know what you okay. Because you know what you brought an audience with you. You know? So I'm just adding on to that point because you're actually making a very important point, you know, something most artists I understand, you know. So we're gonna move on to the next question, Yabo.
Yeah.
So like, as you highlighted on your bio, that we are shaped by many places, you know, like Umlazi, Solo, and Mount Frey, if I'm not mistaken. What did each of these communities plant in you? Like, what did they teach you about voice, identity, and rhythm?
I can speak mostly for Tolo and Umlazi. Umlazi basically, that's where I was born. And then Utolo, that's where my mom was born. So my mom would take me to Utolo to leave me there. As a boy, I think I did my grade R there. My grade R and maybe standard 2 there because it was a back and forth between KZN and Eastern Cape because she had to go and leave me there and go and hustle. So Utolo, this is where I actually did most of everyone listen to the scene to Ezenziwa. Listen to the scene to Ezenziwa by different tribes. So most of the things that I did when it comes to Isintu, I did them Gutolo, which was basically a crusade where my mom was born. Most of them, not all of them, because the rest came from my father's side, which is in Kopo, somewhere towards the end of KZN, where I thinking. So, and then KZN, I could say Yona English as a more voice because that's where I spent more time, that's where I was able to someone give me as in go through different experiences because at that time I could say it could have been easily for me to fall into this one crime because at the time there was gangs. And that side was dominated by mostly people who are coming from DKZN, people who are. It was the same faction fights, there were gangs, there was like we were exposed to many things. But at the time, because of the thing that I always say, the music and the influence that was coming through my mom working for being a domestic worker, in a way. So I got more attracted to that. I found myself more on that compared to the crew that I was with that was starting to do some crazy things. And then luckily enough, around that time, we had to come to the side. I guess that on its own saved me, basically.
It's been a journey.
It's been.
So, like, okay, now, before we dive into much deep, you know, before singing.
Are you gonna get any deeper, guys?
I just want us to loosen up things, you know, with a little game, you know, like, it's nothing hectic, you know, but it's just a way of exploring your
Oh, so
yeah, sure.
Representing.
Representing.
So,
But I only sleep there.
You just live there.
Yeah, most of my time is spent here in Kagiso. I spend most of my time working.
How long have you been? 20 years.
I came here in 2002.
Yo.
That's like 20 something years. I'm not sure.
So it has played a role in shaping.
In shaping, yeah. I just wanted to understand it. Okay.
Yeah.
Alright.
And by the way, that's Calvin or Chef Shenko is behind the cam that side.
You shouldn't have said my name.
Oh, the Chef Shenko.
So this game is all about like just testing your personality so that our viewers can get to connect with you on a deeper level, because of as you are saying that channel, those kind of things, So we call this one a Township quick fire. So how it works is that I'm gonna give you two choices, and you have to choose one first without even thinking. And these things relate to ikasi in a way, like the things is ikasi from food, lifestyle, So already.
Yeah, no.
Okay, let's start again. Okay. Chakalaka or arch?
Chakalaka.
Vinyl or USB?
USB.
Set with no mic or radio show with no headphones?
No headphones.
Radio show with no headphones.
Yeah.
Best street gig under the tree or by the spaza shop?
Let's take it from the top,
Your best street gig maybe that you could attend. Street bash.
Street bash. Okay.
The one that's hosted by the park under a tree.
Okay.
Or the one that's hosted maybe a strategy on the street. Street bash.
It's cool.
Yeah, so basically that's it. You actually scored all of them right. There's no right or wrong answer.
Yeah.
It's a way of getting to see your personality.
It's telling. Chakalak, you said chakalak arch, you said arch.
I said chakalak.
Oh, I chakalak.
The thing is,
why chakalak?
The arch I want next day sing snacks. Whatever you teach me, arch.
Misconception.
No, it's misconception. I
can vouch for that too.
I used to love arch, but since I noticed to go to no matter what, if let's say I have arch maybe 2-3 times a day, the next day I saying. Is stronger than the one that I know is coming from Amakwapa. So from there, I had to work this out.
Okay,
that's true. Okay. We also have to talk about hygiene in fact. The food you eat also affects your hygiene. Because at the end of the day, as well something but I
don't think you are, but okay, fine. I'll give it to you.
We are advocates.
I mean, I think it's the spices, but okay,
So now I want us to move on, to the next segment of our episode, and this is when I will talk about healing, healing through grief and sorrow. Because at the end of the day, we attend events, but there's also that side, that we must not neglect too, So like, on your bio, you also highlighted that you have carried heavy emotion from grief, from reflection, and legacy also. How has music helped you process your own loss, and how do you offer that healing to others?
Mina bethu nginenhlanhla benenhlanhla ukuthi ngizithole sengikwi-radio iplatform ukuthi ngayisebenzisa ekuthenini nanoma yini mhlambe engibhekana nayo, whether on an emotional level or maybe on a physical level, and so on. How I deal with it, and then it happens to however way I deal with it, and then it works. I can also share the same thing through radio to abanye abantu. Currently, I have a segment that we do on Mondays. It's called Men Cave in Akay. So basically, it's around conversations focused, unfiltered conversations focused on inkinga zabantu besilisa, from health to social standing to whatever. So, like you said, I lost my sister 2000. That was in my family. That was the very first death since we were because my other sister passed away when I was still very little. So leyo nto leyo yasikhatha kakhulu umndeni and nami yangikhatha as a man, but I only realized later ukuthi the effect that the whole event had on me ngayibona sekulate, but because lento lekuba ngathi like mangitshela abantu bangathi this guy is kidding, uyangithola. Music has always been part of my life, and then I also the radio thing. So me being on radio every day and having to talk about topics like death and mental health and issues like that, those things, they are hitting me day by day. And I only realize, but guys, I'm so grateful to have a platform like this, because I don't need to go to a therapist as much as we need to do it, when we have to do it. But it's got listening, I always say, I give work and then because of something, and then 3 hours later after my show, I want to say, is in high spirits and everything. That thing, young heal up to it. Like, it heals me completely. Yeah, so I could say, there's music in it, it heals me. From whatever it is, over the years, even now. But it's span sound just young lap. Anyone who take that platform away from me, I will quickly.
That's true. I want to learn because in most cases, what you are saying, music heals. That's the power of music. In a way, I can even say music for me. I consider it to be my love language. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you share a playlist in Jenny Curate, playlist in I'm told. Yeah, sure. Yeah. As booze, you know. Sure. So, like, and we are actually highlighting something, men cave. Yeah, men cave. We are still in June, you know, as we are recording this episode, and it's still Men's Mental Health Month, you know. Yeah. And it will be unfair for us not to actually touch on that, you know. So, I call this one giving from an empty cup. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, there's that quote you can't pour from an empty cup. Yeah, true. You have to always be now at the right mindset, mental health, good state, you know. So like for you, like as you go into listeners, into crowds and into community, as you're highlighting with more figure station or music, like you come back, Oshaku, you know. So what do you do when you are running on low? Like, how do you refill? You know, because of maybe some creative out there, they also battle with it, you know, because of, you know, as creatives, we have imposter syndrome, you know, and then that feeling like, hey, you are not good enough, the content you are producing, you know, those kinds of things. It's not good enough, it's not relevant. So, like, how do you refill when you feel like I seem drained, you know, like, because I know with the energy is contagious and your industry, it needs a lot of energy. You interact with different people on a daily basis, different energies, you know. So, mina bethu ngisasenenhlanhla ngoba ngisasenomagriza ne-olidi ne. Sure. Olidi nami she's 77 years old. Umagriza bethu like umagriza uyi-therapist yami, uyi-chomi yami, and nanoma yini esuke mhlawumbe ingangiphathanga grand at the time, she knows exactly what to say to me. Ekugcina sengenze ngibe ngcono. So ngaletha a couple of things ukuthi I draw, I recharge through. Like it's the people that I have in most cases it's youngsters. And the feed off energy, and I've learned over the years to be able to talk to people. Like not to say good things, some random people. You pour into someone, but through the very same energy I was able to see talking helps. And then I also happened to have different stakeholders through the station who they are contributing to the show, from health, religious groups, faith-based organizations, social development, to just musicians. So Leo energy is own so young for and it gets and then comes prayer also, which is something in Helen saying when they say you must pray about things, I know God knows my problems, God understands what I'm going through right now. I know and then I realized as much as Ebona and Engang Caesar, but we am Jabisa also for me to kneel down
and ngimcela ukuthi angisize ngalokho. So I could say lezo zinto izona ezinikeza umdlandla throughout.
Yeah. If you are listening out there, bakugayile coping mechanisms. But my take from that one, and also choking. Choking helps.
Yeah, it does.
Choking helps, Especially so we immense mental health month, Most of our brothers are bakulumi, Abakulumi. So I'm actually glad to actually have a space that actually focuses on Amachita, Because I'm also running something like that. Dialogue sessions, We need more platforms like that for our community. So it shows even with limited resources, we can still do the most for our cars, our communities.
Exactly.
So, but my brother, keep on pushing, As long as we tender as a at the end of the day, we are paid.
But I just wish Amachita could reach out more, man. Like, in most cases, sometimes for pre-production, we would go out maybe for the following weeks, for content for the following week, and we would reach out to guys. I'm fit to still bring and maybe record something talking about a particular subject. Guys are not interested. Even on air, you hardly get anything coming from someone responding to. And we bring burning issues in terms of what guys are going through currently. No one says anything. Next thing someone is saying, hey, please bring Elton John. Maybe it's their own way of therapy. They don't need to be talking about things. But I wish guys could come out more and
I
talk.
think it's that stigma that society.
That's always been there.
That thing is killing us a lot, especially Amachita, because of now. Asakoni nokuventa because of Maslala and Amachita. I'm thinking, I'm gonna check my problems and tell you.
Exactly.
Hence I always advise Amachita, if you want to vent, it doesn't have to be someone
you know.
For instance, me I can vent to a total stranger like that. The outlet.
Yeah, sure.
But apart from that, I think it is nice offer the episode because the mental health is just a topic on its own.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe on real talk with Akay in the near future. That's where we can actually touch more on it, So like earlier on we were talking, we're talking about radio and podcast these days. These days new media spaces that are emerging, and they like platforms is fun and about radio, about TV. I feel like personally like they're no longer getting that attention. Because if you check like platforms is fun and about multi-choice true now your listenership is decreasing. So this question, if it's leading me to this and like when as a radio presenter you have made your name through the very same community, Like what makes the space different, what do you think it still matters in 2025 considering which like right now there's this new media platforms and the internet and the majority of youngsters you find them valuable on social media like your TikToks on lives, Instagram lives, those kind of platforms. So like why do you think like the radio space still matters in today's times?
Which is busy too, and they're very, very sweet and short.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah. Kunywa data, kunywa phone, kunywa umsakazo man.
Yeah.
You see.
That's true.
And then heart rate.
Yeah.
And I'm not down with Zitolico. And so those two things, I think it still make it able to be powerful even today. As much as we lose our listeners because of and most people that radio doesn't have a lot of youth listeners. Especially now, even if they would be focusing on there's a station for youth and stuff. So what's going to happen to they still rely on radio. They still listen to the people that listen to me on radio right now. So manje radio is still relevant because of that demographic, basically. So if that particular demographic were to lose that particular demographic, then I think, especially community radios, because the progressive youth that still listens to radio wouldn't really listen to a community radio. They prefer the commercial. So it's we have reliant on the older guys. Without them, then I would say radio is completely dead.
So,
But because of the accessibility, then it will always be there.
yeah, that's true. So in terms of that, like, how do we change that? Like, how do we change that narrative for the youngsters to show them that radio matters at the end of the day? For instance, we have young and upcoming artists, and most of them you deal with them, you know, like they are not aware what radio still matters.
Yeah, like it used to do before.
Yeah, so like, how do we ensure that it's still, like, we change the narrative for them to show them that no, radio still matters at this day and age. It's a form of conveying a message, important messages. Because just as much as I'm a podcaster exists, podcasts we talk about topics and topics, but in the baboni usually we touch base on them and we don't connect live with the audiences usually, you know. So how do we convince these young ones?
To still,
like, radio still matters, you know?
I think it would be a bit of trying to incorporate whatever. Actually, when I'm radio, they're also going visual, digital and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think we need to do that more, and then with the content also, it has to adjust a bit to also targeting or being accommodative of the youth. As to how, I don't know, but I think that could be the only. Or we could also always agree that maybe it's time, then. Maybe it is time. Why can't we say it's time? The youth now wants to focus on something else.
Yeah.
Radio for the youth is no longer. Because I've noticed something with the radio across. The producers are almost doing the very same thing in different ways. So listening to radio from talk format to commercial to community, I feel like we're doing the very same things. So for abantu aba progressive njengabantu abasha, abantu aba always on the lookout for new things, it's not going to cut it. It's not. So as long as the producers and whoever is responsible for programming is still as stagnant as they are, then I don't think we are going to have to do anything. I'm part of that because I produce too. So I don't know, guys. Honestly speaking, it will need a complete overhaul of the entire system, from the business managers, the people who are running radio stations, the station managers, to the program managers, to the producers. If not, then have you listened to radio recently?
Yeah.
In 10 years.
Honestly,
you know, I listen to, you'll jump in just now, you know, like, Nyasbana Nevela, so during weekdays, Masbu Espanin, we listen to Kaya FM, you know, afternoon track. And usually, like, okay, like the topics, this is Bambayo. They are not really empowering in a way, you know, like it's always the same things, it's jokes and games, you know, those kind of things. But I'm going to criticize, I'm not criticizing and I'm not firing any shots, you know. But we're just talking about the reality of things in terms of what are happening. So before we continue, let me just give Chef.
No, I was about to say, for me, for radio, I go to radio, I think, for news mostly.
And sock.
No news. Facts. There's at least facts on radio, I think. So for the news and the talk radio stuff. So I think maybe because of age, I don't know, your whys and stuff, I don't listen to anymore. I don't know. And because I think maybe, I don't know, I wanted to ask you a question when we were talking about the compiling. Because remember there was a time where the head of the SABC, you'll figure out the title, had this 100% or whatever. Yeah. So I wanted to ask, were you on radio at the time? Or not yet?
I think I was.
But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. As a music compiler for radio, how did that make you feel?
Yeah, you know, it was good for South African artists, but it wasn't good for business. Yeah, it kind of killed everything. People have gotten used to hearing about
because I want to ask
about Drake, number one. And then an advertiser would say when they are slotting the adverts on the shows, on drops and everything. I want my song after Drake. So I want my advert before Kendrick or after. So much
for business is bad.
Yeah, Nami, when I was listening, like I love South African music, but there was a weird thing.
Yes.
And they've been selling that Western idea to us for years. And then all of a sudden, say, yeah, come on, to 100% boo.
I hate it.
It wasn't going to work.
To be honest, I hate it.
Like,
because I'm a music fanatic, I don't care where the music comes from.
South Africa and stuff.
Yeah. So my follow-up question: what's your bag? What's your musical bag? Your go-to when you are alone in jail, outside of the studio?
I feel like what the genres that I listen to now have started boring me. I'm trying to tap into some stuff that I never listened to. I'm even about rock because I feel like the catalogs that I have now is young boring. I listen still. I try my piano, I do it, but I feel like I've listened to the genres too much, and then it says I even reached out to people recently on social media. Hey, what genres can I listen to? Because like the genres that I've been listening to says young boy.
No, I get it.
So we're gonna take a quick short break, but before we do that, I just have a quick question before Sipu Manje. And so, like, do you think Township creatives are undervalued, and how can platforms like Westside FM, the People's Podcast Network, change that? Because like we deal with creatives in most cases,
Yeah, but undervalued. Yeah, they are, because I'm part of them, so I know. So I think remember I spoke about the workshops.
Yeah.
The undervaluing also comes from not really knowing what you are doing, not self. So I remember the other time this person was posting about how establishments and promoters should stop giving people 6 beers for sets and everything. And then this other promoter said the very same artists need to stop accepting. So Nati, if so Nati, if SARS can know about what we are doing, I think it's not undervalue, or such things have opened space for us to start doing our own things. So I want to find about this platform, our website. I think we need to have more outreaches to artists, events, workshops, to equip artists as much as we can. Basically, that's what I think we could do. More. But then the resources thing and everything comes in. Resources, because not you from where we are right now, we want to be doing so many things, but we can't, because, and also I must they're not really, I didn't want to go there too, but then I had to. They're not really forthcoming in terms of meeting us halfway with doing things and stuff.
That's facts, you do. Yeah. So, but apart from that, bro, like, it's been a wonderful episode so far, I'm actually enjoying the conversation as I'm learning, because me and the bro that side, we are just learners, you have to educate us more about how this industry operates, while we are also getting to know more about you, So I hope also our viewers are enjoying it. But apart from that, we're gonna just take a quick short break, But in the meantime, just click that subscribe button. You can go check out our content on TikTok. We also have the Practical Problem Solvers community, It's available on Patreon / the People's Podcast Network.com, That's where you can join the community. It's an exclusive community whereby you get exclusive content, the episode already told before. Other people see them on YouTube, and you get them raw. There's also podcast merchandise there, and other benefits as a whole. Discounts to ticket events as a whole, But apart from that, we'll be back after this quick short break. Thank you so much. Dango. Okay, welcome back, guys. We are back again from our short break. We are still on that path of seeking practical solutions for practical societal issues. on the People's Podcast Network. You know, the show's name is the Kreative Kultural Corner. We're still chilling with Mr. Zweja Maestro, you know, the man who brings multiple eargasms, you know. So,
I think we go there.
We are going there because of that's gonna be the question that's gonna resume our conversation.
Yeah.
The name Multiple Eargasms, you know,
Yeah.
because it's a brand, you know, in a way, and it's such a bold brand name, you know. Like, what does it mean to you, and what inspired it?
To me, well, I believe every creative or every service provider, they think Uguchi, they have something special going that separates them from the rest. So, for example, I don't know, maybe Unai would be able to go deeper as to what the just do it thing means.
Yeah.
But to us, it's just do it. So multiple eargasms for me, it's simple, it's straightforward. I believe that I give people the ultimate listening pleasure when I'm behind the text. That's why I came up with the whole multiple.
You satisfy.
I satisfy to the highest level. So that's where the multiple eargasms came from. So yeah, basically.
So like with regards to running the brand, like you're on like multiple eargasms, like you know, like what has been like the biggest challenge you know? Because I know Uchi managing a brand.
First of all, I'm still trying to understand myself what I'm doing before anything. But the most challenge is making it to make sense out there to the target, the people that I'm targeting with the brand. So and having to sit down and think, was this the right approach? Is this going to be sustainable? What should be my next move? How do I diversify in terms of the visibility and everything? Yeah. So I could say it's still work in progress, honestly speaking, because I only developed it like early this year. So it's still something we would see. And most of us, we don't have anyone who will help me.
You have a manager, you have a CEO, social media,
So I want to treat our brand, but in terms of brand manager and things like that. So but so far I could say slowly people are starting to understand what Multiple Eargasms and Zweja Maestro is basically all about.
Yeah, so after the challenges we come to the highlights, you know, because I know we are not always crying.
Yeah.
And as creatives, we all have those moments whereby you are like, Yazi, this moment was the biggest moment of my career. Like, you always have a story to tell about that one moment. So for you, like, what has been like that biggest moment in your career, on your journey so far, you know, whereby when you look back, you're like, but this moment set me up for where I am at the moment, you know, when you look back?
My first radio show was 9 hours behind the microphone. And how it happened 9 hours?
You were talking for 9 hours?
Yes, I was. And how it happened, I remember one side was still at training center. Yeah. So I went there. Okay, initially I started listening to a side. Yeah. And then I listened, and then I used to interact or communicate with one of the presenters who was doing a show around early evenings. And then this guy invited me to come. So when I went there, I sat with the guy. And then as I sat with the guy, he showed me some things. As to, wow, this is how we do it, and stuff like that. And then later on, the guy was supposed to come after the 9 to 12 guy, the 9 to midnight guy was not there. And then I had to, and no one had, like, I never went through the proper channels in terms of approaching any company for employment and everything. I just dropped the mic. And I can imagine because there's too many things that are happening in terms of sound and stuff like that. But I ended up leaving at 6 a.m. in the morning. I spent the entire night there doing that show. And then afterwards, I went there and I told and then I was told and then later on I joined the same guy, and then I went back, and then I ended up being co-host with him, and then I ended up doing that show because it stopped. And then, but the highlight from my first days of radio was when I got my show, which was when everyone is sleeping, 9 to midnight, 3 a.m. And then I did all the slots there, and then my other highlight came 3 years ago when I got the during the day, 9 to 12. That was my biggest highlight, and then also being able to get some form of qualification because I have a national certificate radio production, and then I got it through being on I get my community radio there. So I was able to get that one, and then those basically would be my highlights. And then through my work I've met a lot of people from government, and then there's too many highlights to pinpoint. So there's too many.
So we are about to let you go, and because I know what you did mention.
The show in 12 minutes.
Busy man.
The life of a DJ.
So I think these are gonna be my last 3 questions. I'm going to Calvin that side if he has questions.
Okay.
So I want us to talk about your hilarious DJ moment. Tell us your most embarrassing and hilarious DJ moment where something went wrong but gave you a story to laugh at, to a point whereby even up to date,
the first one was I got an invite. I remember Tapelo Ramatiro used to be a resident DJ at Zo's Butcher, and then he invited me for Thursday. Thursdays would be Lamalama, whereby they choose anyone that they could recommend for Sundays. I went there, I had my CDs. When I got there, the only CD, there was only one CD that was playing. And you know I'm a CD A2, you have to play. So I had to cancel. That was and imagine it was my first time go to. So that was the first one. And then the other one was the time I used to get too drunk when I got a resident DJ type of employment somewhere, and then I used to drink a lot. So I used to get drunk, and then I would remove my shoes. I would hop on top of the setup and then the booth, and then I would start doing crazy things, and then someone got a video, and then they started circulating the video in one of the local groups, and then but somehow it propelled me.
Of course.
People started talking about me. So, those would be my 2 embarrassing moments that I can remember. But the those one, was the one. Because everyone was looking at me we were waiting for the DJ to start playing, and then only one CD is playing. So
the others have scratches, or they just want to play?
I think mina begithi ngarayithi kanti ngarayithi because I wrote them Spanish nge-PC. Kanti asibaneka. Very very interesting.
So, okay. I have so many follow-up questions, but things will save Okay, so the playlist for the ancestors. Anne, I want you to imagine this, Anne. You've been booked to do a special set, but not for a crowd, for your ancestors. I want you to name 3 tracks you do definitely include, and I want to know why.
Why didn't these questions? Why didn't you start with this question? I feel like I was still fresh. I'm kind of exhausted of my thinking battles and everything. So but there has to be time this one day. We remember who made way for us as we are now.
My favorite.
Hey, no, I can only think of that one right now.
King
speaking,
no Sister Bettina.
I know my never relate to Sister Bettina. I can't think of them jamming to Sister Bettina. It's gonna be us jamming. Guys, can I call my mom, guys? Maybe she should be able to help.
Live on the
she won't even pick up.
So okay, now I just want us I just want you to leave a message, for our listeners and viewers before we let you go, because maybe there's a young boy listening, maybe somewhere in Umlazi, Sepside there, watching this episode right now, and is listening to your voice and is wondering, could I ever do this tuna? What will you say to that young kid?
Yeah, you can, man. You can just before anything, find what you like and do it. Do it consistently, because getting where I am now, it's not like the peak. It's not where I want to be, but I'm happy with the progress so far. But it took me like consistency, like keep doing it, and then life will tell you if it's the right thing, it's the what you are supposed to do. Because they usually say you can do anything that you set your mind on. But it sometimes happens that it's not for you. And then by continuing doing it, you'll see that. And then also brought in your the way you bear into and you do things also, so that you can be able to tap into anything else. But you can do it, you can do it. I'm doing it, I did it. There are other people who did it before, so just do it. But yeah, the most important thing, I would say is school. We usually say it's school, but then the school thing I need issue in game, because I feel like school as we know it, R to 12, and then I don't think it's still working for black people, man. Like,
I think it's our curriculum.
Maybe that's the case. So finding things like art, being creative, is the only other thing Tina Abantu can eat from, and then businesses and stuff like that. But all I can say is you can do it. It doesn't matter what you want. And stuff like that. But over the years, I've tried and made things happen, and I'm still going to make things happen. So I'm not next it's all up to you. And focus on you, because people will always be there to say things as in whether you're doing in the end, don't always say things. Whether just do you. And whatever it is that you love, do it.
That's a powerful message, I'm also inspired, the inner kid in me. Yeah. I know, okay, I'm doing it, but the inner kid in me now feels like doing it even more. So, my brother, thank you so much, for taking the time for joining us, Namhlanje,
Yeah, sure.
Final and last question,
Hey, your question.
Yeah, this is your legacy. You said something about legacy on your bio, what do you want to be remembered for, once everything is said and done?
One thing I want to be remembered for, I lived my life and I followed my dreams. I believe everyone does that, but most of my existence, sometimes I feel like I end up neglecting other very important aspects of my life, because I'm still a father. I'm a son who's also a leader of the family, but I'm focused more on work, basically. So I want people to remember me as that someone, whether they ended up reaching the top like they planned to, but that guy was very focused on making things happen in terms of umsebenzi wakhe, and I believe umsebenzi wami is the one that is going to create some form of legacy for a family. Basically, that's what I want to be remembered for more than anything.
My brother, I pray that God blesses you on your journey. Thank you so much again for taking this time, for once in a while now we interview about
it feels weird being on this side because I'm the one who's always posing the questions. But I'm putting a chance, because I'm busy interview about, I'm always like, can't you know, why don't I get a chance of like share whatever it is, my journey and lesson as a creative and as a human being, and then you gave me that opportunity.
I relate to what you are saying.
Hey, bro, like sometimes I end up talking about myself on radio, because now it's not allowed. Whatever you say about you, it doesn't matter. So getting this opportunity of being able now to is an opportunity I've always wanted. So ngiyabonga fethu. Singazi network yakho ingakhula. My brother nawe ungazi ukuthi nawe ungakhula as DOP wethu and stuff.
Yeah.
So you guys have a good thing happening now fethu. Ningapheli moya, ma gatekeepings and everything that is happening around.
Sebenza kunjani.
Lokho kunjalo. So
how do our followers connect with you? Because I need value you mentioned that you are always collecting new music from creators you know. So if they want to get in touch, submit their music, their tapes.
Okay, so on social media, I'm on TikTok, Zweja Maestro. I'm also on Facebook, Zweja Mabona on X, Mabona Zweli on Instagram, and then you can always listen to the station, Westside FM. That's where I do 2 shows. One now, the one that I like the most because it's basically where I get to connect with artists because it's artist focused. It's more about the music. They are high whoever is good or best now in the West End. That's where we profile them and stuff like that. So in terms of sending music, you can always send music via. You can use the social media platforms, and then we have an email, Westside FM music@gmail.com. westsidefmmusic@gmail.com. Send your music there, and then send your artist profiles and your registration codes and your music, 2 songs, MP3, and I'm a link. I'm too old for links. I'm these cards and I'm going to follow. So please just send your MP3s. MP3s also help us to be able to save the music.
Yeah.
So my link is sometimes I don't know what to do next. So yeah, that's basically how you can maybe get your music played and make sure the music is proper also. Yeah.
Thank you so much once again, my brother. It's been an honor. So that was Mr. Zweja Maestro, you know, not just a DJ, but a cultural custodian, you know, a healer through headphones, you know, a voice from the Township for the web. And to our listeners, if this episode moved you, please don't just vibe, you know. Please share it with the next person, you know, because maybe you might inspire something on the next person, you know. Save it, you know, revisit it once in a while, you know, and don't forget to click that subscribe button. But apart from that, this is the Creative Cultural Corner. I'm Akay, your host, and until next time, stay rooted, stay creative, and always let your soul speak, you know, louder than the noise at the end of the day. But apart from that, dango.
Away.
Season yeah. Nazi season over. I was born to win. You can call me Mangoba. Season yeah. Nazi season over. I was born to win. You can call me Mangoba. Hey. Columbo's in velling through the window. Fele balcony after the wind blows. La boya so good is peeling below. Give back to my people, wanna be a hero. Nasabuk shonen bin my wazu, I'm a soldier. You know that we gon' win this blocks, na pelu moya. If it is a chiga, yazi season over. Azamba funu season weba season go now. Yeah, this season over. I was born to win. You can call me Mangoba. Season